Hello there and welcome to my channel. My name is Zumi. So today we're going to be talking about basement living in Canada and what you need to know about it. So this channel, like I always say, is dedicated to enlightening new immigrants about what to expect living in Canada. And when I refer to new immigrants here, I'm referring to those that have just moved in maybe under 1 year or 2 years in Canada and they don't know their way about, or maybe people that are processing their papers and they're almost there, right? And they're like, okay, now even if I get the paper, what can I expect? And then the third people I'm referring to as new immigrants are people that maybe they have plans that in the near future they're going to be applying to come and live in Canada. So for these three people, I'm sharing my experiences from the angle of a married woman. I'm married with 3 children, so I'm sharing it from the angle of someone that has a family, not from the angle of maybe just a student that is coming all by himself, because it will be a definitely different experience for someone that is coming in with family. You are wondering, well, how do I do the children's school? You have so many questions on your mind. So I'm hoping that with this channel, I'm going to be answering all these questions one after the other. So if you have any pressing question that you would like me to address, please feel free to leave it in the comment section and I'll be more than glad to either respond or, if need be, make a video on it so that other people can also learn and get their answers from your questions. Okay, so talking about living in a basement, personally, I had to live in a basement for almost 4 years when I moved here to join my husband. I've lived in 2 basements so far. So I lived the first time one, we lived there for about 8 months, and then we had to move over to the second one because the owner of the first apartment we're renting was selling the house. So the second one, I lived there for going to almost 3 years. So at the end of it all, it adds up to almost 4 years, right? So, and I want to let you know that for the most part, from what I have seen, most new immigrants, most people, as they are landing in Canada, most of them end up living in a basement first of all, before maybe when things get better, they might decide to move to a normal above ground apartment. So what is a basement? For those that don't really know, you don't have an idea of what a basement is. So it's more or less like an underground building, like Nigerians would call it underground, right? So it's more or less, you see a normal house, but when you come into the house, there's a staircase that leads under the house, and inside under that house, it has been prepared to be a normal apartment. Maybe it could be a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom apartment, with all the basic necessities you need to live there. And you will be able to have, a stove, fridge, washer and dryer for most of the times. And even if they don't have washer and dryer in there for you, you could end up sharing with the person that lives upstairs, if you guys have an agreement for that, or other forms of agreement, maybe coin laundry and all that. So that's what a basement is. It's just a normal apartment, but it's only that it's under the ground. And then the thing about it being under the ground, they have, most of them have small windows, and the windows are located at the ceiling. Of when you are inside the basement, you look up at the ceiling, that's where you find your windows. Okay, so but a few other types of basements that are coming up these days, there's a way they build it, and one side of the house, of the basement, has normal windows and normal sliding doors. You can go outside from there, but then the other side, there are no windows. So that was the second type of the basement. So I've lived in both parts of them. The first type of basement was the one that was, the windows are small and are on the ceiling of the house. And then the second type of basement I lived in was like a workout basement. It had normal windows in the bedroom area, but the kitchen, I didn't have any windows, no doors, nothing. So and another thing, so I'm gonna go straight up to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of living in a basement, so that you will know and you'll be able to make your own decisions. But I would like to talk about the disadvantages first of all, because for me, I felt them so strongly when I was living there, and it used to really make me feel so bad. So I'm going to share those ones first of all, so that you can know. Then I will go to the advantages. So first of all, the thing is that it can be very cold in winter. Canadian winters can be very cold. Sometimes I think I've gotten used to it, but then when it hits you in the face, you realize that maybe you will never get used to it. It's very cold. So, and the reason why the basements especially are very cold is because, you know, the sun doesn't shine directly on the basement. It shines on the roof of the house. So before it will move all the way to the house, you're already inside the ground, right? So it retains coolness, and the coolness can be helpful in summer when it gets crazily hot. But then in winter, you just feel like you are dying. And the thing about it is that from my experience living in basement, if the people upstairs put on the heater, the heating system to the level that their temperature that they are comfortable with, for me, those living in the basement is not warm enough. So, but if you go tell them, please, can you increase it? If they increase it, it makes them to feel very hot. But you'll be feeling okay. So how we used to resolve those differences so that everyone will be okay is that we got portable heaters, 2 portable heaters. So, and we just take them around. So wherever you are, if you're in the bedroom, you take one and go in the bedroom and put it on, and that way you can keep warm. And then if you are going over to the living room, you take it over, or the kitchen. So that's how, or even the bathroom. Our bathroom used to be very cold, so I had to take a heater into the bathroom. So if you are having that problem, you know, and you don't know what to do, you can look out for portable heaters. And if you don't have all the money to spend, I'm sure you can get, you know, fairly used ones for a good price on either Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace. So that is that. It can be very cold. And next thing is that, which is actually the first thing, it can be very dark and dreary. I remember those days whenever I'm coming back and I'm climbing down the stairs, I begin to be like, my heart begins to skip, because I just know, I feel like I'm being cut off from the whole world. The windows are so small, you cannot see what is going on outside. And then because they are so small, the light can't come, sunlight can't come in very well. So once you come in, whether it's early morning, hot afternoon, bright afternoon, or evening, I used to always have the lights on 24/7. So you don't know the difference between day and night. And the thing for me that used to make me feel so depressed was because I couldn't see other people. Like, for some reason, I just wanted to, you know, you're in a new environment. This is my first time traveling out of Nigeria to live abroad, and I can't even see what's going on the streets. I want to see the garbage truck, you know, when they take out the garbage. I want to see and say, okay, this is how they do it. I want to see people walking on the streets and say, oh, this is my neighbor. Hi, neighbor. You know, I want to be able to wake up in the morning, you know, with the sunlight coming in as usual. I want to be able to kind of, you know, look outside when it snows and people are just waking up and it's just nobody has walked on the snow. It can be very beautiful, but I can't see those things unless I have to dress up and wear my jacket and everything and come outside. So it used to be very, very depressing for me. You know, there would be great thunderstorms, rain, all day rain, everything. And my husband would come back from work and he's like, oh my goodness, today's rain and thunderstorm was crazy. I'm like, what are you talking about? Did it rain? Did it rain? And he's like, are you in this world? So it used to be very depressing. So you need to know that. For me, it used to be depressing. So the next thing is that it can be very noisy. So if let's say there are children living upstairs, or maybe you have very active neighbors, maybe they have dogs and all those things, they are jumping around, you hear all the movement, every movement that is going on upstairs, you hear every one of it. When they are shouting, you hear it. When they are quarreling, you hear it. When they're making phone calls, you hear it. And so if you are someone that you like your quiet, or let's say you're a student, you want to study, or let's say you have little children that they are light sleepers and all that, it can be an issue. So, but that's one of the things about basement. Even the second one I lived in, they said it was soundproofed, but there wasn't much of a difference. I could hear all the phone calls, everything. I could hear everything. And I even used to dread Friday and Saturday nights, because my landlady, she was the one living up above me. She was a nice lady, but the only thing was that she was a movie freak. So on Friday and Saturday nights, she would just put on the speakers. She wants to feel the horror movie, the sound of it. She wants to feel it really well, vibrating in her body. And it used to really be an issue, because I had little babies, you know, and they wouldn't go to bed until she goes to sleep. It was a big issue for me. Okay, so the next thing is that when it comes to bills, you could end up incurring very high bills if you are splitting the bills between the person living upstairs. And what do I mean by that? So the way it is, sometimes some of the basements that you're going to rent, they are not all inclusive. And what do I mean by not being all inclusive? Let's say they tell you that the rent is, let's say, $500, $800. That is just the rent. So you take care of the hydro, the gas, every other bill that needs to be paid. You take care of it yourself. So if there's someone living upstairs and you are living downstairs, you share the bill. So, and how it is shared, the people on top might end up paying, let's say, 70%, and you pay 30%, depending on maybe the ratio of people living up and down. But most of the times, the people living upstairs pay the greater portion of the bills, right? So if you have someone that is not energy efficient, it doesn't think energy, how to say conserve money and save energy, then you're going to be in big trouble. So what do I mean by that? For example, when I was the first basement I was living in, I was paying just the rent, right? And then I would take care of the bills. We had that kind of arrangement. We are splitting the bills between the people living upstairs and ourselves. And so these people in Canada, we have what we call off-peak seasons, off-peak hour and peak hours, and when it comes to maybe using electricity and all those things. So during peak hours, if you are cooking or washing clothes in the washing machine and all that, they charge you a whole lot. So but the off-peak hours are maybe from 7 p.m. down all through the night. You can wash, cook, do all those things, and it doesn't cost you as much as it will cost. So but these other people, they were very nice people and all that, but they just weren't energy efficient, or they were not thinking how to save money on the bills. So early in the morning, they wake up, they're baking, washing plates, cooking, using the dishwasher, all those things. And at the end of each month, I was paying about 800, but for the rent. But in the end, when the other bill comes, I end up paying almost maybe $420 extra. And so every end of month, there was this fear in my heart. I didn't know how much we were going to end up paying. And it's not that one kept money anywhere. So it used to be a very big trauma for us. I was conscious of energy. I was doing my best, but the other people had no clue. And I wasn't ready to go and start telling them all those kind of things because I didn't want any confrontation and all that. So that's it. So the next thing, so that's another disadvantage, right? So even if you are conscious, you want to spend energy and all those things according to your pocket. Other people that are living upstairs may not have those same concerns as you, but it ends up affecting your pocket. So the next thing that is that you can smell and hear everything going on. So if they are cooking, if they are smokers, if the people like maybe the religions that burn incense, all those kind of things, you smell everything. And if you are the kind of person that maybe you are picky when it comes to your eating, and let's say the person living upstairs is from another culture and their cuisine, the way they cook, their kind of foods, maybe you're not used to the smells, it can be a problem. So for me, I had two of my children in the first 4 years that I came to Canada. So I had two pregnancies that I had to endure in basements, and it was crazy, especially the first place I lived in. The second place, my landlady didn't used to cook. She used to eat out. She was a very busy person, so she didn't used to cook. So I didn't have issues with smells. So, but with my first pregnancy, it was just so crazy. I was smelling everything, strange things I've never smelled in my life. Or maybe if I was not pregnant, it wouldn't be so bad, but I couldn't go and tell them not to cook. So that's another thing. If you are living in the basement, you smell everything that is going on there. Are they smokers? Maybe you have babies and you don't smoke and they are smoking indoors. You smell everything and you can't run away from it. So those are some of the disadvantages that are coming to my mind now. They were just so prominent for me. Then for the advantages, I would say that first of all, rent is cheaper. Especially if you're on a tight budget. So like I said, for example, we're now living in an above ground apartment and we don't have anyone living in our basement. So how it is now, when I was living in the first basement, I was paying like 800 for the full rent, and then the bills is based on what I use, right? But here now that I'm living in an above ground apartment, I'm paying 1,750 where I am, and I think it's even cheap compared to some of the other prices you might be getting 2000, 2005, depending on the size of the house and the city or the location that you are in. So you see, so if you're paying 800 and then you're paying 1750, almost 1/8, it's like double of that. And if you're just coming in, you're all this while you'll be making your money in naira, you're coming to Canada, of course you want to go for what is cheap. So if you are looking at your pocket, Basement might be a very good deal for you. Okay, so the next thing is that if you can get an all-inclusive package when it comes to Basement, it will be a very good deal for your pocket. So what do I mean by that? When you talk of all-inclusive, when you see maybe an advertisement for a basement out for that is up for rental, if they tell you all-inclusive, it might be a very much better deal than, okay, rent is 800. What do I mean by that? I mentioned that I've lived in two basements. The first one I was paying 800 per month, but I ended up incurring maybe 420 extra on bills aside from internet and TV. So if you add internet and TV, I was paying on the average almost 500 and something per month, right? Extra. So you're talking about maybe 1,002, 1,003. So, but when we moved to the second basement, we got a deal where I was paying $1,050, $1,050, all inclusive. I didn't have to pay for internet. That internet was unlimited. I didn't have to pay for TV. TV was included. I didn't have to pay for hydro, gas, anything. Once I just paid that $1,050, I know that any other thing, okay, just buy food, cook food, transportation, take care of my children, buy them clothes. So that was peace of mind. So even if I didn't have any other money, I just know that just gather that 1,050 and you're done. But if the other one you're like, oh, I paid 800 and then another extra bill of 400 and something, almost 500 comes up, you can't even make a budget on that. So that's it. So I'm saying, I recommend if you can find a deal that is all inclusive, it's better for you. You can make your budget and you just pay it and you know that you can do other things with the money that you have. Okay, so I mentioned it earlier. In the brutal heat of summer, summer can get very hot. So the basement comes in handy because even there are times when you put on AC and it's like it's not working upstairs. But in the basement, it's just always cool and nice, perfect. So I used to look forward to going home during summer. I'm like, okay, let me run away from this evil heat. So, so I will now try to contrast between the two of let's say upper buildings and low and the basement, right? So first of all, the above ground build homes are brighter, of course, because there are windows everywhere. They are more airy. You can open your windows and you can connect with the world. You can see what's going on the streets and all that. And then another thing is also there is less noise. So even if someone is living in the basement, let's say the person in the basement is a noisy person and the person plays loud music, but at least you're not going to be hearing their footsteps. So it's not like when you are, let's say you're living in the basement and you're hearing the footsteps and you're hearing the loud music. So at least there is less noise if you are living above ground. So then I will look at what are the disadvantages also when it comes to living in an above ground house. We've looked at the advantages, less noise, they are brighter, they are more airy, you feel more connected to the world, right? So, but when it is the disadvantage, you're talking of is expensive, you're going to be talking of rent, utilities, you're going to be talking of, housekeeping equipment, because you're going to now be talking of buying, let's say, lawn mowers to take care of the lawn. You're going to talk of, shovels, snow shovels or snow blowers, lawn mowers. Then you're going to be talking of more furniture, because if you're going to an above ground house, it's bigger, it's more spacious, so you need more furniture. Or are you going to just move in and put one couch in one small corner? You have more space to clean and so much more. So when it comes to money, that's the big thing on the above ground house. But beyond that, it's beautiful to stay above ground. So depending on what you have, you might end up having to go for a basement. and at least you have a place to lay your head and keep your family safe. You have everything you need. And as a family, you can deal with the depression and everything together and look forward to maybe when you can get something that you prefer. So in conclusion, I would say that it's not the type of apartment that you live in that makes it a home. It is the love, the warm fellowship, and the beautiful memories you make in any kind of building or any kind of space that turns it into a home. You know, so it turns it into somewhere you can look forward to when the day is over and you're returning from work. So if you are living in an above ground house and you have everything, but you guys are not happy together, you don't have a family bond, it's going to be like hell. But if you're in a basement, but you all are united, you're working as a team, and you're making beautiful memories as a family, it doesn't matter whatever the basement brings on. Is it the dreariness? Is it the darkness? Is it the cold? You guys can conquer it. And then I just want to round up by saying that before you move from a basement to a normal apartment, okay, especially if you're moving to a detached apartment or a semi-detached or a townhouse, like whatever it is that you're going to have to take care of it by yourself, you have to begin to think again. Like I said, you have to think, are you ready to buy a snowblower, shovels, lawn mowers? Are you ready for the more bills, more furniture, for more rooms that you have, more space to clean, more rent? So even if you're like, okay, you know what, I've made a little money, now let's move. Think about all these other things. Don't be in a hurry to run out, okay? So another thing, even if you say, okay, I'm not going to a detached house, I want to go to a condo, you're going to be thinking of the maintenance fees that are probably extra, you know, that, okay, when they talk of maintenance fees, you're not going to be clearing the snow if you're living in a condo, but they pay people to do that, or, you know, mowing the lawn and all that. So in general, I would say that basement living can be a great way for you to save more money and more stress, because if you have to work harder to make the money, then it's all a lot of stress for you. So I would say you could consider basement living. It can be normal if you choose to focus on where you're going, okay? And when you have the time, when you figure out that you have established, you can then move on to a normal house. So I just thought I'll share with us my experience and what you can experience, you know, expect if you're going to live in a basement. Your experience may not be mine. Some people may not go through depression. Maybe I dealt with it because I was pregnant, but beyond that, it wasn't a bad experience, you know. So with that, I'll stop this video here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe to encourage me to be able to make more videos to answer your questions. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.